The morning sky over northern France was the color of ash, a dull gray that hung low over the broken villages and scarred farmlands. The year was 1916, and the Great War had already swallowed millions. Yet on this day, in a quiet trench near the Somme River, French soldier, Lieutenant Adrien Moreau, prepared for another battle that felt no less terrifying than the first. Cold winds slid through the trench walls, carrying the smell of wet soil, gunpowder, and something metallic that Adrien had learned not to name. He tightened the worn leather strap of his helmet. His hands shook, but so slightly that only he could feel it. "Big day, Lieutenant," murmured Corporal Leon Marchand, a young man with tired green eyes and mud on his face. He was only 20, but the war had already carved 10 extra years into his expression. Adrie nodded. "Orders came from high command. We move at dawn. Think the Germans will pull back this time?" Adrien didn't answer. Hope was a luxury he had stopped believing in months ago. The sun slowly rose over the ruined fields, revealing the landscape of devastation. Trees blasted into jagged stumps, earth torn open like wounded flesh, and barbed wire twisted into metallic thorns. Beyond this wasteland lay German lines, silent, waiting. Deadly dot as the whistle blew, the French soldiers climbed out of the trench, their boots sinking into the mud. The air felt frozen in time. Adrien inhaled deeply and shouted, "Forward!" Erupted instantly. Bullets sliced through the fog. Explosions illuminated the field like firestorms. Men fell, some without a sound, others screaming. Adrien kept running, rifle in hand, heart pounding as he dodged shattered earth. He was halfway across the field when he saw Leon fall. A burst of machine gun fire caught the young corporal in the leg. He collapsed into the mud, crying out in pain. Adrien stopped. Then his instincts screamed to keep moving, but he couldn't leave Leon behind. He sprinted back, sliding beside him. "Can you stand?" "No, sir," Leon whispered, his voice shaking. "Just go." Adrien ignored him. He grabbed Leon's arm, heaved him over his shoulder, and dragged him backward. Bullets sprayed around them, kicking up mud, grazing the air inches from their heads. Somehow, by luck or fate, they made it to a shallow crater where Adrien lowered Leon carefully. "You're going to make it," Adrien said, though he wasn't certain. Leon gripped his hand, eyes filled with fear. A shell exploded nearby, throwing Adrien off balance. Dirt rained from the sky. His ears rang violently. When he stood again, he felt warm blood trickling down his cheek, but he was still alive. "Stay here. Medics will come," he told Leon before the younger soldier could protest. Adrien climbed out and pressed forward once more. Hours passed like centuries. The French army pushed inch by inch toward the German trenches, advancing through a nightmare of mud, wire, and falling men. Adrien fought with mechanical instinct. Fire, reload, run. Take cover until the world became a blur of smoke and screams. By late afternoon, the sky darkened with thick clouds. Rain poured, mixing with blood and turning the battlefield into a red sludge. Adrien and the remnants of his unit finally reached the damaged German trench. They fought in close quarters, bayonets clashing, air thick with screams. When the fighting ended, silence fell, a heavy, haunting silence. Adrien looked around. Dozens of French and German bodies lay scattered. Only 12 men from his original unit still stood. Leon was still behind in the crater. And Adrien prayed he had survived. For a brief moment, Adrien allowed himself to breathe. They had captured the position. But victory tasted bitter. No cheer rose from the survivors. They were too tired, too broken. Night fell, bringing cold winds that whispered through the empty trenches. The men huddled under worn blankets, shivering. Adrien sat against a wall of sandbags, staring at a photograph he carried in his pocket, his wife, Claire, and their small daughter, Elise. Their smiling faces felt like something from another world. "Lieutenant," a soldier whispered, approaching. "Him." Reinforcements came. Medics found survivors on the field. Leon Marchand is alive. Relief crashed over him like a wave. "Where is he?" "In the aid station, sir." Adrien ran through the dark trench, boots slipping on the muddy boards. When he entered the makeshift tent, he saw Leon lying on a wooden cot, pale but breathing. "You came back?" Leon said weakly. "Of course I did," Adrien's voice softened. "We don't leave our own." Leon managed a faint smile before drifting to sleep. Adrien stepped outside, glancing at the somber sky. The rain had stopped, but the air smelled of gunpowder and sorrow. He looked out across the ruined land, once a place of farms, families, and peaceful mornings. Now it was a graveyard stretching as far as the eye could see. Days passed, and the French army held the captured position. Adrien's unit received a short rest period in a nearby village, or what was left of one. Broken houses, charred beams, silent streets, but it was safer than the front. One evening, Adrien walked through the ruins, trying to quiet his mind. He stopped near the remains of a church, its walls shattered, its bell lying cracked on the ground. Yet inside, candles glowed softly. An old woman, the only villager who hadn't fled, lit them every night for the dead. "War takes many things," she said when Adrien approached, "but it cannot take hope unless we surrender it." Her words stayed with him long after he left. Months later, the Battle of the Somme ended. France had gained ground but lost nearly 500,000 men, victory and tragedy woven together. Adrien survived, though he carried new scars, physical and unseen. When the war finally ended in 1918, Adrien returned home. Claire stood at the train station waiting, tears shining in her eyes. Lise, now a little older, ran to him with outstretched arms. For the first time in years, Adrien felt whole again. Yet even as life slowly returned to normal, the memories remained of mud-soaked fields, fallen comrades, and the impossible choices soldiers had to make. He never forgot Leon's pale face in the crater, or the sound of distant artillery echoing across the French sky, but he also never forgot the courage. It witnessed the kind that burned like a small, stubborn flame in the darkest night. And whenever someone asked him what the war had taught him, he always answered the same, that even in the deepest hell, humanity survives in the hands we hold, the lives we save, and the hope we refuse to let.